Understanding women's manipulation techniques, a guide for men. Women often test men, sometimes naturally and sometimes with the intent to manipulate. If you've ever felt frustrated or as if you're tiptoeing around, it's likely you've been tested, maybe even without realizing it. But once you grasp these 10 manipulation tactics, you know how to respond, maintain control, and avoid falling into these traps. If you're new to my channel, I'm Anna Jorgensen. I assist good men like you in understanding modern women, helping you find, attract, and keep your significant other. Welcome to Just the Tip. Psychologically, we all carry a wounded inner child within us. When someone touches on our unhealed childhood trauma with their words or actions, it can trigger deep emotional wounds, even if we don't fully understand it or show it outwardly. In other words, we all have the capacity to act like children. In deep, intimate relationships, these unhealed emotional wounds are bound to get triggered. The good news? If you can shift into a grounded adult state, you have the opportunity to heal not just yourself, but often others as well. Key point: a person's reaction to a trigger often reflects the emotional and psychological age they are in at that moment. So, how does this relate to women's manipulation tactics? Understanding your and your lady's childhood wounds makes it easier to navigate triggers, so you don't give up on each other if you're truly meant to be together. For example, if raising her voice reminds you of an overbearing or abusive mother when you were 5, you may emotionally regress to that age when she raises her voice, even slightly. Women also have triggers. This isn't the time to expect adult reasoning. It's the time to be gentle. Of course, this becomes tricky if both of your triggers are set off at the same time. Let's dive into an important topic: the manipulation and control tactics that some women may employ in relationships. Many of you might be familiar with the 8th tactic, but let's begin with the first one: withholding sex. This tactic involves using physical intimacy as a means of leverage. We've discussed this concept previously, but it's worth noting that sex can be one of the most powerful ways women influence their partners. In some cases, women may resort to using intimacy as a tool for control. Rather than addressing conflicts in a mature and constructive manner, they might choose to withhold intimacy as a way to train their partner into submission. For instance, when disagreements arise, instead of engaging in a healthy discussion, she may suddenly lose interest in intimacy for several days or until she feels her partner has capitulated. Over time, this can lead to a situation where the partner begins to avoid conflicts altogether, adopting the mindset of happy wife, happy life. This dynamic can resemble a child throwing a silent tantrum. While she may feel a sense of victory when he gives in, it can lead to a gradual erosion of respect for both parties involved. It's important to highlight a key point: research suggests that women often have a lower threshold for managing stress compared to men. Biologically, women may experience a quicker emotional response under similar stressful situations. When a woman is under stress, her desire for intimacy can diminish significantly, almost as if it goes into hibernation. This situation can feel like a double-edged sword, can't it? So, how should one navigate this complex issue? The best approach is to ensure that intimacy does not become a reward system. If you find that your partner is using sex as a weapon, it's crucial to address it calmly and assertively. Make it clear that you are not interested in playing games. When faced with an issue in your relationship, it's essential to address it in a mature and open manner. Start by asking your partner what's really bothering them, and pay attention to their tone. If they're already upset, they may become defensive or aggressive. In this situation, it's crucial to approach the conversation with empathy and understanding, acknowledging their feelings and validating their emotions. This can help them feel heard and understood, which can diffuse tension and create a more constructive dialogue. However, if your partner's behavior is triggered or aggressive, it's essential to set clear boundaries and maintain a calm demeanor. Avoid giving in to their demands, whether explicit or implicit, as this can create a power imbalance and reinforce negative patterns. Instead, focus on having an open and honest conversation about the issue at hand. It's also important to recognize that relationships built on silent standoffs or manipulation are unlikely to be sustainable in the long term. Communication is key to resolving conflicts and building a strong, healthy relationship. In some cases, temporarily pulling back or setting boundaries can be an effective way to encourage your partner to reflect on their behavior and make positive changes. This can be especially true if your partner is unaware of the impact their actions are having on you. However, it's essential to approach this situation with caution and avoid using it as a standard mode of operation. Ultimately, a healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, trust, and open communication. If your partner is using sex as a bargaining chip or reward, it's a sign that they may not be fully invested in the relationship or may be struggling with control issues. A woman who loves and respects you will not use sex as a means of manipulation or control. If you're facing challenges in your relationship, it's essential to prioritize open and honest communication. Avoid using manipulation or coercion, and instead focus on building a strong, healthy connection with your partner. Handling these situations effectively can be incredibly beneficial for men, regardless of their relationship status with women. One of the most crucial skills to develop is the ability to establish and consistently enforce personal boundaries. This practice not only reinforces self-respect but also creates a foundation for relationships built on genuine care and equality, rather than power struggles or conditional exchanges. For instance, if a woman uses sex as a tool to manipulate or control, it's important to recognize this dynamic early on. A healthy partner will communicate clearly. If she's not interested at a given moment, she'll express that honestly, while still acknowledging her feelings for you. Even better, she might invite you to support her through her emotional process, showing trust and vulnerability. This kind of openness is a strong indicator of a balanced, respectful relationship. #CoolKeeper. Alright, that was a bit intense, but let's dive into the next point. Situation number 2 involves being kept in a state of uncertainty, what some might call the "I don't know what I want" game. This often occurs when a woman isn't ready for a committed relationship but still wants to maintain your attention as a fallback option. For example, she might say she's not open to a relationship right now, yet gets upset if you engage with other women. This behavior reflects a desire for control without the responsibility of commitment. How can you navigate this? The key is to challenge the situation directly. If she's not willing to be transparent about her intentions, it's fair to question whether she's the right match for someone seeking a meaningful connection. If you're unsure about your own readiness for a relationship, it might be a sign that you're not the best fit for her either. Never allow someone to waste your time or energy on ambiguity. However, if you tend to have an anxious attachment style, characterized by a fear of abandonment and a tendency to rush into relationships to avoid feeling alone, this is an area worth reflecting on. If you're moving too quickly, it's reasonable to expect that she might slow things down, leaving you feeling stuck in the middle. Well, let's keep going and explore the next scenarios. Your time is the most precious asset you possess. If someone you're interested in is unreasonably slow to commit or make decisions, consider setting a personal deadline for clarity. If, by that time, their intentions remain unclear, it's wise to re-evaluate the investment and potentially walk away on your terms. This proactive approach not only preserves your self-respect but also offers a broader benefit. It helps you dodge potentially toxic relationships and focus on nurturing genuine, meaningful connections, which in turn can significantly boost your overall confidence. A key takeaway, applicable to all, is recognizing when to let go. If your instincts are telling you this person isn't the one, ending things promptly is not just a kindness to them, but also to yourself. Prolonging the inevitable blocks your path to finding a more compatible match. Conversely, if you genuinely connect with this person but feel they're moving at an accelerated pace, open communication is crucial. It might be helpful to explore whether an avoidant attachment style is at play, and if so, work collaboratively to establish a comfortable rhythm that avoids triggering undue stress, providing clarity on emotional needs grounded in biological and scientific insights. For a deeper understanding of what women often seek in terms of intimacy, desire, and relationships, exploring resources like What Women Really Want can offer valuable perspectives. Moreover, be aware of manipulation tactics, such as guilt-tripping or emotional blackmail, which some individuals may employ to influence your actions. These behaviors can make you feel inordinately responsible for their emotional state, thereby controlling your reactions. It's essential to acknowledge that both men and women can exhibit these behaviors. For instance, if you express being busy, and the response is a dramatic sigh accompanied by a statement like, "I'll just be alone, as always," recognize this as a potential maneuver to evoke guilt. Maintaining emotional awareness and asserting clear boundaries are key in such situations, ensuring a healthier dynamic in your relationships. Feeling down because of someone's actions? It's natural to want to adjust your priorities to make them happy. But here's the deal. Recognize when you're being manipulated. Instead of letting guilt take over, respond calmly by saying something like, "I care about you, but I also have my own responsibilities. Let's find a time that works for both of us." Never let someone else's guilt-tripping control your actions. If they persist in trying to manipulate you, gently ask, "Are you trying to make me feel guilty for having other commitments?" Most manipulators will back down when confronted. If they dodge the question, it's okay to change the subject or even walk away. Now, let's be real, none of us are perfect. If this person is important to you and this isn't a recurring issue, treat them with patience, understanding them as if they were a scared, confused child. Remember, you might also act like your inner wounded child at times. Handling this situation with care benefits you, regardless of the gender of the person involved. By recognizing manipulation, you can make decisions based on logic and self-respect, rather than letting guilt dictate your actions. This reduces stress and increases your independence. And here's a quick tip: emotional blackmail is never a healthy way to get what you want in any relationship. Don't do it. Full stop. Lastly, let's talk about the silent treatment. It's another form of manipulation that can be harmful. Avoid using it and encourage open communication instead. By mastering these strategies, you'll build stronger, healthier relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Psychological warfare is a concept that many people encounter in relationships. Women often understand that men tend to dislike emotional detachment, as it can frequently result in a lack of sexual intimacy. Consequently, when women wish to exert control in a relationship, they may choose to withhold affection and communication. This behavior can create a sense of urgency in men, prompting them to seek resolution, even when they are not at fault. While this strategy is more commonly associated with women, it is important to note that some men also engage in similar tactics. For instance, if a man says something that a woman finds displeasing, she might suddenly stop responding to texts, provide curt replies, or even ignore him altogether. This can lead to feelings of panic and confusion as he wonders what he might have done to upset her. So, how should one respond to such situations? The best approach is to refrain from engaging in the conflict. Instead, allow her the space she needs to come back to you, while continuing to live your own life. If she truly values the relationship, she will eventually return and initiate communication. If she does not, you have effectively spared yourself from unnecessary complications. It is crucial to avoid rewarding negative behavior, as this can reinforce unhealthy patterns. Handling these situations effectively can be beneficial for men, regardless of the woman involved. By developing emotional resilience and the ability to remain calm in the face of passive-aggressive behavior, men can enhance their mental stability and self-confidence. The silent treatment and stonewalling are considered among the 4 horsemen of relationship doom, alongside defensiveness, criticism, and contempt. These behaviors can lead a relationship down a path of inevitable failure. As a helpful tip, if you find it challenging to articulate your emotions and needs, try describing the physical sensations you are experiencing. For example, you might say, "I feel a tightness in my chest," or "My breathing has become quick and shallow." This approach provides your partner with some insight into your feelings, even if you struggle to find the right words. Lastly, be aware of the 5 tests that may probe for weaknesses in your relationship dynamics. Women often have a subtle talent for testing men's confidence by posing challenges, both overt and covert. The way a man responds reveals whether he genuinely possesses self-assurance or is merely putting on a facade. There are rational reasons behind why women might test men, but explaining all of them here would be too lengthy. However, I do have a comprehensive playlist that explores this topic in detail. Just to clarify, providing explanations doesn't mean I endorse or encourage testing. I see myself more as a decoder of this behavior rather than its creator. For example, if you mention that you enjoy working out and she responds with a smirk, saying, "Oh, so you're one of those gym bros," how should you react? If you get defensive or start explaining yourself, you've missed the mark. The best approach is to stay relaxed and unbothered. You can simply laugh and affirm, "Darn right I am," showing confidence in your choices. Remember, confidence is key. Never feel the need to justify or defend yourself. Own your statements. Mastering a playful, amused expression can be very effective. For example, raise an eyebrow and give a charming smile, as if saying, "Aren't you adorable?" Instead of reacting defensively, respond with a smirk, go along with her tease, and keep the tone light. For instance, if she asks why you're wearing a particular shirt, you might reply with a playful, "So you have something interesting to talk about, little lady," which maintains confidence and humor. The goal is to remain cool, playful, and self-assured, turning potential tests into opportunities to showcase your confidence naturally and effortlessly. Having unwavering confidence is a key to success in any situation. If you're interested in learning how to cultivate genuine confidence, especially in your interactions with women, it's essential to recognize that you are the valuable one in the equation. Understanding how to navigate challenging situations can be advantageous for men, regardless of their relationships with women. Developing the ability to stay composed under pressure fosters a level of confidence that positively impacts various areas of your life, from family relationships to professional dealings. Here's a helpful insight: when a woman tests you, it's a sign that she cares. If she didn't see potential for a long-term connection, she likely wouldn't invest the energy into testing your reactions. On the other hand, some women may create drama or stir up chaos as a means of exerting control. This behavior can stem from their own struggles to find healthy ways to stimulate their lives or may arise from emotional wounds they carry. A clear indicator that she has influence over your emotions is if you find yourself apologizing for things that aren't your fault or engaging in pointless arguments. For instance, everything might seem perfectly fine, and then out of the blue, she might initiate a conflict over something trivial, like a joke you made weeks ago. This could be a case of her projecting her feelings or testing your emotional resilience. So, how should you respond in these situations? It's crucial to maintain your composure. You might say something like, "We don't need to argue about this. If there's something bothering you, let's discuss it maturely." If she continues to seek chaos, it's best to disengage from the situation. Imagine saying, "Please let me know when you're prepared to engage in a meaningful discussion," and then simply walking away. The truth is, drama often dissipates when there's no audience to witness it. Effectively managing such situations can be advantageous for men, irrespective of the women involved. By mastering the art of conflict resolution and emotional regulation, you can foster harmony in all your relationships, steering clear of unnecessary stress and emotional upheaval. Here's a helpful hint: humor can sometimes alleviate tension, but it's important to recognize that what works in one scenario may not be effective in another. For further insights, you might find my video titled, "How to Handle Conflict with an Angry Woman to Best Diffuse a Situation Without Sigh," particularly useful. Now, let's discuss a common tactic, being compared to other men. This subtle form of psychological undermining can lead to self-doubt and a desire for approval. For instance, a woman might casually remark, "My ex used to organize the most amazing dates," or, "Look at how driven Chad is." Such comments are designed to make you feel inferior. So, how should you respond? The key is to avoid taking the bait. A simple reply like, "Good for him," can deflect the comparison. If this behavior continues, it's essential to establish a boundary by saying something like, "You know, I prefer not to engage in comparisons." This approach not only protects your self-esteem but also encourages healthier communication. Would you like me to draw comparisons between you and other women whom I perceive to be superior to you in certain aspects? If I don't meet your expectations, you are completely free to leave. However, if there is something specific you desire from me, please feel free to ask. If she repeats her behavior, address it in a relaxed manner. You might say something like, "You know, it seems like you would prefer to be with him. Would you like me to set up an introduction?" By demonstrating that you do not rely on her approval, you inherently increase your own worth. This approach not only benefits men in their interactions with women but also enhances their overall self-esteem. Therefore, fostering a sense of self-worth that is rooted in internal validation, rather than seeking approval from others, makes you less susceptible to manipulation and more appealing in various social situations. Remember to recognize your own value. As a piece of advice, avoid comparing your partner to others unless it involves someone of the same gender whom they admire, and only if it serves to highlight their positive qualities in comparison. This advice applies to both men and women. Moving on to the 8th point, the issue of playing the victim. This is a common behavior where individuals refuse to take responsibility for their actions. Many women, in particular, may struggle with accountability and may twist the narrative to portray you as the antagonist, even when you are in the right. For instance, if she makes an insulting remark and you respond respectfully by calling her out, she might react by crying and saying, "I was just joking. You're so mean." This kind of behavior can be frustrating, but understanding it can help you navigate these situations more effectively. Rather than confronting her about her lack of respect, you find yourself offering her comfort. The question arises, is she simply a frightened child, or am I a master of manipulation? How should one navigate this situation? It's essential to remain composed and concentrate on the underlying issue at hand. You might say something like, "This isn't about me being unkind, it's about what you expressed. Let's discuss that together." It's crucial to avoid letting emotions cloud your judgment regarding the facts. If she frequently appears to be in a state of crisis, you could reassure her by saying, "You know what? You're intelligent, and I have faith that you'll find a solution to this." If she consistently avoids taking responsibility for her actions, it indicates that she may not be seeking genuine help, rather, she might be attempting to exert control over the situation. Here's a helpful insight: some women may adopt a victim mentality as a means to manipulate you into providing for them. Even if this behavior isn't intentional, it still represents a form of emotional outsourcing. If she persistently shifts the burden of responsibility onto you without making any effort to address her own issues, it suggests that she is looking for a crutch and expects you to take on a parental role within the relationship. Ultimately, the choice of whether to fulfill that role is yours to make. Additionally, I recommend watching this video titled, Make Women Great Again, which discusses how effectively managing such situations can be advantageous for men, regardless of the woman involved. Understanding when individuals evade responsibility is essential for upholding your own high standards and ensuring that you engage in relationships characterized by mutual respect. Let's delve into the 9th point, testing your limits, which involves observing what behaviors you are willing to accept. Often, women may test minor boundaries to gauge how much they can push you and to determine if you will assert yourself. If you allow minor infractions to go unchecked, they may escalate over time. Our responses teach others how to treat us based on what we permit. For instance, consider a scenario where she frequently interrupts you, cancels plans at the last minute, or makes fun of something that is important to you, even after you have clearly expressed your dislike for such behavior. If you continue to tolerate these actions, she may perceive you as lacking strength. So, how should you respond? It's crucial to address these issues right away. You might say, I need you to make some adjustments in how you interact with me. Women tend to respect men who establish and maintain clear boundaries. Rather than merely stating your limits, it can be more effective to implement natural consequences. For example, if she continues to cancel plans, you might choose to stop making arrangements with her altogether. If she interrupts you repeatedly, take a moment to pause, make eye contact, and assertively say, I'll wait until you finish speaking. Remember, actions often speak louder than words. If she has ADHD, it's important to show some understanding and patience. Now, let's consider how effectively managing these situations can be beneficial for men, regardless of their interactions with women. Learning to establish and uphold boundaries is vital across all aspects of life, including work, friendships, and family dynamics. If you refuse to accept disrespect in your personal relationships, you are less likely to tolerate it from a boss, a colleague, or a so-called friend who may attempt to take advantage of you. Here's a helpful suggestion: transforming your habits is a gradual process, so it's important to provide gentle reminders for some time. If you've clearly and respectfully communicated your boundaries, any mistakes should ideally be accompanied by an apology. However, if she continues to disregard those boundaries without acknowledging her actions, it indicates a lack of respect for you. Now, before I share the 10th point, let's discuss another common strategy that some women may use to manipulate, test, or even exert control over men. If you find this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. And a big thank you to those of you who have already subscribed. Alright, moving on to point number 10, the act of playing naive and evading responsibility. It's important to note that women are not lacking in intelligence when it comes to manipulation techniques. However, they may sometimes pretend not to understand a situation if it helps them escape accountability. For instance, if she flirts with other men and you confront her about it, she might respond with, "What? I was just being friendly or bubbly. You're overreacting." This behavior is known as gaslighting, as she attempts to make you question your own perceptions. Trust your instincts in these situations. How should you respond? Stay grounded and maintain your stance by saying something like, "We both know what's really happening here. Let's be honest about it." If she continues to evade responsibility, it may be best to walk away from the situation. If she stands her ground firmly, you might respond by saying, "If the roles were reversed, would you be comfortable with that?" If she stubbornly agrees, even if she's not being truthful, you can reply, "In that case, it seems our values don't align, and this relationship may not be suitable for me." This approach highlights how effectively managing such situations can be advantageous for men, regardless of the woman involved. Understanding manipulation is crucial in various areas of life, from negotiating deals to identifying insincere friendships. Individuals who evade accountability often do so in subtle, nuanced ways. Therefore, addressing these behaviors calmly and respectfully can prevent you from being taken advantage of in any circumstance. Just a helpful hint: if one partner is comfortable with flirting while the other is not, it indicates a potential misalignment in values, which could lead to ongoing issues with trust and emotional safety. To summarize, women have often become adept at psychological manipulation because it tends to yield results. It's important to note that explaining this behavior does not mean you condone it. If you remain oblivious to these dynamics, you risk being manipulated, controlled, and tested repeatedly. A crucial takeaway is that even if she is not consciously aware of her manipulative actions, allowing her to behave like a misbehaving child will only encourage her to continue pushing your limits, ultimately leading to a loss of respect for you. This situation can also result in you losing respect for yourself. However, now that you are informed, you know how to respond. Avoid justifying your actions, don't succumb to guilt trips, and promptly address any disrespect. Stop pursuing someone who doesn't value you. Instead, seek a woman who genuinely desires to be with you and demonstrates this by actively working on her own shortcomings. The moment a woman realizes that she can't exert control over you, even if she's not the ideal match for you, her level of respect for you increases significantly. What's even more crucial, however, is that your self-respect also gets a boost. Now, the question remains, will you be the man who gets taken advantage of, or will you take charge and change the dynamics? So, which of these manipulative tactics will you put an end to today? Remember, you were never taught how to navigate these situations, so be gentle with yourself. We all have unhealthy habits and unhealed emotional scars. Sometimes, these unresolved wounds can cause us to sabotage potentially great relationships. To ensure you're not walking away from someone who could be a great match, be sure to check out my upcoming videos. In the next videos, I'll be discussing topics such as how to handle a woman who acts immaturely, how to treat her in a way that encourages growth, and how to manage conflicts with an angry partner or anyone else. At the end of the day, love is the answer, and it all starts with self-love that's rooted in self-respect. You have the power to make positive changes in your life, and I believe in you. Thank you for being here, and I wish you all the best.